I had mold growing in my other one
Oh, jeez.
because it's in my truck all day and it's like hot.
Oh, that makes sense.
So my wife bought me a new one when it's metal. So
Ah, you're good
hopefully
there.
it stays colder. I don't know.
Get a
Probably.
copper one.
Yeah. Yeah,
There you
exactly.
go.
I don't know. I just drink out of it. So I had to get it. So I had the regular plastic jugs for 2 days. Now I have a metal one. So we're going to
Nice.
start. So, all right, Josh. Well, we're back. No more vacation for me. We're
Yeah.
back to reality.
Did you have a good
Work,
vacation?
podcast. We did. We did.
Good.
Maryland was very nice. We had a good time. The last day we went go karting, me and my
Nice.
son,
How
and
was
it was
that?
the first year he's able to drive go-karts by himself.
Ooh,
So it was dope. And
that's.
so Daddy let him win the first time, and then the next time, or
Oh yeah.
we raced. I think we did 7 different tracks. We were there for 3 hours.
Wow. So they
So
had quite a bit of go-karting.
yes, they have a.
Like
It's a
selections pretty good.
Jolly Roger
Okay.
in Ocean City, Maryland. There's like what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I think there's 7 tracks.
Wow.
And then we did all of them twice, and then a couple of them we did a few times. I think a couple of the times he rode with me
Okay.
because, but long story short, the first time I let him win, I drove behind him, and I said, now the next time, and going forward, we're going to race. So he's like, all right. So um, he lost a couple of times. He got pissed off. So then he jumped in with me, and then we bumped a girl out of the way to win.
Nice. Oh, there you go.
I was like, "Hey,
So
man, I grew
pit
up in the
maneuver.
I grew up in the '80s and '90s NASCAR.
You ain't
That's
rubbing, you
how I
ain't
know. That
racing.
you ain't rubbing, you ain't racing. That's exactly right. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'll give you a chance to move, and if you don't move, I'll move you for yourself, or
That's
for
right.
me. You know what I mean? I'll move you out of the way. So going into the turn three, she tried to hug the turn. I bumped her before. Second bump, I pushed her out right underneath, straight to the checker flag.
There it is, man.
You ain't first, you're last. So all that's over.
Shake and
Now
bake,
we're
baby.
back to life, or back to
Cool.
the
Well,
real
welcome
world.
back. Glad you had a good time.
Kids are already starting their summer reading. School's going to be starting back. You know what I mean? So football camp starts at the end of July.
Yeah.
The real world's
Yeah. We got
uh,
soccer coming up here
back.
next month, and um, my daughter's going to be doing theater. So we
Oh,
got that
really?
coming. Yeah, she said she wanted to do it, so I was like, all right,
Nice.
let's try it out, see what goes. So
Huh?
she's excited.
Good.
Oh,
Well, so I think we're going to, for this episode, the last blood work that I got done, I think we
oh
should
yeah.
review
Okay.
so we can, people can kind of, listen and think about their numbers and then we
Sure.
can also talk about what I need to work on and where, like, basically, Josh, maybe like we'll do, like where you want where you think the number should be for each
Sure.
individual breakdown.
Yeah. I mean, numbers are, for lack of a better word, arbitrary in this environment. At least they are for me. They probably aren't for a lot of other places, but numbers follow results.
Right.
What I mean by that is, like, if you're not feeling well and all of a sudden you feel well, and if there's a test that I can do that proves that you don't feel well, right? And then you feel well, we should see those numbers improve as you feel better, right? It's the same as for like testosterone. Um, I have ranges that I like for patients in my clinic that are kind of general, so to speak, but everybody's different too. Everybody's going to feel a little bit better kind of in this spectrum of stuff here. So there's, uh, I want to preface before we kind of go into this that all of the blood work should be individualized, geared towards a person. And I also want to stress too is it's not really so much numbers on a page as much as how well you're moving forward, right?
Sure.
Are we progressing? So that the numbers can confirm that, right? Like if I have somebody that comes to me and his free T is like 35 and he's like, something, I'm like, yeah, get out of here.
Right.
Like
Right.
that's just not going to happen. But if you come to me and your free T's 6 and you're like, I have these symptoms, and yeah, that's very relatable cause. But a lot of other people are feeling that way too. So that's how we can kind of objectively have a measurement that matches a subjective variant. But yeah, I got your blood work pulled up here. So the last one we did, this was done in June, And I didn't do a full panel because I knew we were going to be doing other blood work thereafter. So
Right.
this was kind of a checkup because believe at the time you were finishing your 10-week course of CJC with
Yes.
ipamorelin. Okay.
Yep.
So I was just kind of checking on a few things. And honestly, I didn't even have to go as robust as I did with this blood work, which isn't really that crazy. It's only a few tests, but really the only thing I will check on somebody that's on a growth hormone secretagogue, and not even like if the intent is to run it for 6 months, I won't even check it at 3 months unless they want it, because it's kind of pointless. You're going to check at the end
Mm-hmm.
anyway. And that's an IGF-1. Okay. So we'll go down to your blood work here. So the first thing I checked, I didn't do a hematology panel because I knew that was coming up for your regular TRT lab. So we skipped that. That's coming, I think, this month and or early next
August.
month.
August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wasn't worried about that. Plus, we just had gotten it like not that long ago. Again, this was kind of in the middle lab. We can cycle back to some of those labs too. But on this one, we did a complete metabolic panel, so a CMP. And this test I check everybody that comes for yearly labs. I get this on. I don't do it out the gate because very seldom it's not something that's necessary that needs to be done when you're starting somebody on testosterone, right? Testosterone doesn't impact the kidneys in terms of its function. So worrying about what somebody's kidney function is kind of irrelevant if our intents to
Sure.
go down that road. So the old saying goes, don't go checking for what you don't want to find.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Because, then that's just one more thing that potentially may need managed or whatever.
Right.
And if we're kind of subspecialing out like what we do at our clinic, we're going to focus on what we do. And yes, we're going to focus on the offline things. And yes, as we progress, we're going to take that and extrapolate on it out a little bit further. But to get started, we don't need to have the 10-ton hammer. We just need something to get us started, right?
Right. Okay.
Okay. So we did your metabolic panel. It's got to test your glucose, your kidneys, your electrolytes, and then also checks a couple proteins, and then it also checks your liver. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And alanine transferase and aspartame transferase are the two that are there. So your glucose was good. Okay. It was 83. Your BUN was 26, which here's the other thing I want to preface before we go any further. When people look at lab reports, specifically as somebody that's non-medical, the first thing that jumps out to you is all the red, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's red, it's bad.
Right.
Red does not mean bad.
Right.
There are contexts for everything. And this is where hopefully your provider can break that down for you. Red is not necessarily bad, right? Red sometimes is the intent. It's just out of the reference range for whatever that lab is.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then also different labs have different reference ranges. So for example, I know some labs cut testosterone off at 900 as high. So literally anybody that has a testosterone over 900 is going to come back high in that lab. Now we know if you're 1200, it's not really high because my lab goes to 1100 is high. And even then it's arbitrary, right? It doesn't really matter.
Sure.
So don't always look as red as bad. Okay. Red is bad if in context of it being bad, but it's not bad just because it's red. Okay.
Right.
So your BUN was a little high. It was 26, high as 24. Again, that's not something I'm going to worry about. That's for blood urea nitrogen. It's a waste product that's going to get filtered to your kidneys. Out it goes. That you work in construction, you sweat a lot, you move a lot. It may be a little bit higher at that time. It's not anything I'm concerned with. Okay. It's kind of an irrelevant. Your creatinine was good. It was 1.17. This is sort of a waste byproduct that builds up in the body and gets filtered out. So the kidneys filter it out. So in order to kind of determine that level, the lower it is, it means your kidneys are filtering it through good. If it builds up, it means the kidneys can't filter it through their good, right?
Okay.
And that's how we kind of determine chronic kidney disease, stage 1A, I'm sorry, not stage 1A, stage 3A, stage 3B. And beyond is going to be kind of based off that, because below that number you have what's called an EGFR or estimated glomerular filtration rate, and that's basically the function of the kidney. Now it is estimated, and the reason it's estimated is because we're dosing it, we're doing it off blood. We did not get a full 24-hour creatinine clearance, which is a test that you would have to do in the hospital, and that would be to have you pee in a jug for 24 hours a day and measure all of it that came out.
Oh, really? Wait,
That,
so
yeah.
you have to stay in the hospital for that, or can you just
You
do it?
don't. You can pee in like a jug and take it
Oh,
in. But I mean, I've had guys with catheters in for, that we've had it in. It has to be clamped and then you have to send it in. But that's very seldom used anymore. There's some other tests. So statin C is out there.
mm,
It's kind of another test to check actual kidney function. We won't get into that here. That's kind of going into the weeds and sort
hmm
of what that is. But note that your kidneys are great. Okay. It gives a BUN to creatinine ratio. That's really not super relevant. Sodium, potassium, chloride, carbon dioxide, calcium. So carbon dioxide, obviously a gas, that would be more relevant in somebody with respiratory issues, but your sodium, potassium, chloride, calcium, those are your electrolytes. We call them electrolytes. Why? I think people don't understand this a lot. Electrolytes are something with a positive and or negative charge.
right.
Okay. Like a battery, right? It has a
Yeah,
positive end, it has a
exactly.
negative end.
hmm
In that, we're going to go throw it back to chemistry here. Okay. If I take salt and I put it in water in a solution, what happens to that sodium chloride? Do you know what happens?
No.
It separates into their own individual ions. It doesn't stay sodium chloride in a solution. Anytime a compound's put into a solution, it goes into its individual ionic form.
Okay.
So now we have sodium ions and chloride ions, and sodium ions are positively charged and chloride ions are negatively charged.
Ah,
Positive charged ions we call cations, negatively charged things we call anions, cations and anions. Okay. Electrolytes. And how your body makes urine in the kidney is literally pushing one positive charge out or a negative charge out, and with it fluid may go or not, and that's how you make urine. Okay.
hmm.
It sounds challenging, but at the surface level it's actually quite easy.
Yeah,
How it is, it's amazing at the same time, but that's what it is. So when we're talking
sure.
about electrolytes, we're talking about all the positive and negative charges that create a current or conduct a current, because
Right,
essentially
right.
you're just a giant battery. So that's what an electrolyte is. Okay.
Huh.
So anything, so like chloride, potassium, sodium, calcium, these are all things that are, quote, electrolytes. Carbon
Okay.
dioxide in this case is going to be more for like respiratory issues. I would see that in people that are hypercapnic, respiratory distress, pulmonary edema, those types of things. Obviously, I'm not worried about that for a healthy individual. It's just included in this test.
Right. And
So
what would that be? High? Like higher
it
number?
would be high. Yeah. People that
Okay.
have like respiratory failure, hypercapnic, any of that, it's going to be high. We would see that on a blood gas, but
Okay.
this wouldn't be the test that we would be doing. We would be doing what's called an ABG on that particular person, stands for arterial blood gas. That's going to give us way more information than the carbon dioxide. I'm just saying, if that were the case and they did order this test, it would reflect as high.
Right.
But there's other tests that you would order for those types of
Okay.
situations. So protein total, albumin, those are good indicators. Protein in the blood, if it gets too high, could be indicative of rhabdomyolysis, which is the breakdown of muscle protein. It's
hmm
not something we're typically going to be too worried about. Obviously, people with heavy lifters that don't have adequate water intake, anything like that. Fun fact. The first patient that I ever went in on clinicals in my nursing degree way back in 2000, early 2000s, had rhabdomyolysis, and I had no idea what it was. And I had to learn what it was.
Really?
Yeah, this patient had a seizure, was found on the floor after like a day, and had laid on the floor in the same position for like a day before somebody found them.
What?
Yeah. So what happened is, because they laid in the same position for so long, their muscles started to break down. And then what happens is, when the muscle breaks down into what's called myoglobin, the myoglobin molecule itself, the muscle is so big. And when it gets to the kidney needs a lot of space to kind of filter this myoglobin through. Think of it like like a basketball going through like a basketball hoop, right?
hmm
I can't stuff 3 basketballs through
Right.
one hoop at once. They have to go in one at a time,
Right.
right? So that's what myoglobin is. So it's fine if I just throw a basketball every now and then, it gets through no problem.
hmm
What if I throw 100 basketballs at it at once?
Right.
It can't get through the hoop. So where does it go? They just back up into the bloodstream, and then it
Mm.
causes a traffic jam and the nephron, and then you can get renal failure. Your kidneys will shut down on you because it can't filter anything. It's all
Jesus.
blacked up there.
So
So
would
that's
that
what
have happened
rhabdo
if
is.
that person would have stayed in that position for
Oh, they
longer?
had it. They had full blown rhabdo. They had to go.
Oh,
They had to get dialyzed. So, but that was the first patient I had. So this patient was getting temporary dialysis because they couldn't filter the myoglobin through their kidneys. We had to filter it through the blood and get it out that way, and then allow the kidneys kind of some time to clear up what they could and get back to normal. So yeah, it's a life threatening condition. It can happen.
damn.
So, yep. So,
Hmm.
um, so that's there, obviously not something we're about. Albumin, we do worry about albumin to a lesser extent. That is included in some of our testosterone labs. As you remember, albumin being one of our binding proteins, the other being sex hormone binding globulin, it's going to bind to androgens. Albumin will weakly bind to them. SHBG will strongly bind to them. So albumin is included in that. Globulin and bilirubin, not something I'm really worried about unless you have like total liver failure. Alkaline phosphatase, really not worried about unless there's an issue with the liver or gallbladder. Some malignancies can cause that to go really high. Not really something I'm looking for in somebody with TRT. It's just included in the chemistry panel.
Okay.
And then lastly, this is what we are, is your AST and your ALT. Those are going to be things that we do look at periodically just to make sure people's liver's okay. Obviously, we're not using anything like, my clinic, we don't do any of the 17 AA orals. This is going to be like Anavar, Winstrol,
Right.
Superdrol, all this stuff, that's that type of stuff. We don't get into that realm where we just stick to testosterone. Yes, I know about them, but
Yeah.
and I can go over some blood work for somebody that's on Anavar. I actually have that and show you what it does.
Mhm.
But your kidneys, or your liver was perfect. It was great. Both
Okay.
of those were well within the reference ranges of those. Okay. And that's just, tells me everything there is working fine, right? We have no issues. Kidneys good, liver's good, bodily systems check out. Excellent. Okay. I did a lipid panel. Why would I do a lipid panel? If and when we talk about peptides, when we talk about growth hormone releasing hormones and peptides, the number one function of them obviously is to release growth hormone.
Right.
Okay, that's the point. That's why we're getting on it. What then? What's the result of that growth hormone? Why are we using it? Well, the main reason we're using it is to help with fat loss, right? Because circulating growth hormone is going to do two things. It's going to inhibit lipoprotein lipase, and it's going to increase the production or enhance the efficacy of hormone-sensitive lipase. What does that mean? Lipoprotein lipase takes triglycerides in your blood and turns them into adipose tissue. Hormone-sensitive lipase is the opposite process, taking triglycerides that have been stored in as adipose tissue and releasing them back into the bloodstream. So with growth hormone on board, we stop shuttling them into adipose tissue and we shuttle out all of these triglycerides from adipose tissue. This is how growth hormone allows us that fat loss benefit. Okay. Second, so that's why I check a lipid panel and triglycerides and everything. We should theoretically see a decrease in cholesterol metrics for somebody that's been on a growth hormone releasing hormone for a period of time. And yours were really low. So your total cholesterol was 158. Yes, I am aware there are other markers out there like ApoB. We don't need to do that because this is just sort of like, I'm just looking through the crack. I'm not going like on this to be like, I'm really concerned because we're running 8,000 other androgens and our lipids are freaking screwed up, right? I knew they wouldn't be, so I didn't need to, go super hard. Your total cholesterol was 158, which is great. Modern medicine wants that under 200. Some people have cholesterol over 200. I think that's a discussion for you to have with the provider that you have on whether or not you should go on a statin based on your medical history and your risks and everything. That's a broad assessment. So I can't say that if you have a cholesterol of 250, should you go on a statin or should you make diet changes or should you do that and this? It's more than just that. Everybody has their own unique presentation, their own medical history, their own background, and that really comes into play. That's the art of medicine, really. That's the practice part where we're all kind of like putting everybody, no two people that come in have the same thing. So Your triglyceride level was very low, is 69. Nice. Um, you know,
That's like when I talk to my wife. Anytime she says
snuck that
69,
one
I'm
in there.
like, yeah, you know it.
It was 69 triglycerides. Nice.
Nice.
Um, and that reference range for that goes up to 150. Again, I don't get too worked up about these values too. If you went and had like a greasy bacon sandwich and came in and had your blood drawn, yeah, your triglycerides are probably going to be kind of high. So you should fast for lipids. This is why. Clearly you did for this test, because otherwise it would be high. It's interesting too, like when we do P shots on guys, right? And we'll bring them in and we'll draw their blood, or even if they just come in for routine blood work. And I can tell immediately once we spin that blood down, it's like we get that serum and it's just cloudy. Like it's you can't see through it. It's not like that crystal amber that you can look through, or that yellow color. It's like looks like egg drop soup in there. It's kind of gross.
Yeah.
So they got all the fat and stuff that's in the serum, and you're like,
That's funny.
yeah. So you have that there. Your HDL cholesterol is next on the list. It was 44. We really want that to be above 40. And I will tell you that HDL cholesterol is challenging to raise. It's hard. That's the good cholesterol, high density lipoprotein. That's the good one. It's really hard to raise your HDL. I think a lot of that has to do with kind of our omega-3 fatty acids that like you can take fish oil and kind of help with triglycerides and maybe skew up the HDL a little bit and lower the LDL. Because of that, we don't get that kind of ratio. I think this is where seed oils kind of come into play, about how they're bad and they're inflammatory and yada, yada, yada. That's another conversation. And I don't want to have that here,
Right.
because there's so many different polarizing positions on that. We're just going to talk about the blood work, but your HDL was fine, 44. I mean, realistically, that's a pretty average number for guys. I'd say mid to upper 40s is pretty typical.
Okay.
For somebody that's in decent shape.
Mm-hmm.
You have VLDL, which I'm not super worried about. Yours was 14, no big deal. And then LDL, which we can focus on as well. Yours was 100. It's red, it's high, but 99 is the cutoff. Would I recommend doing anything because your LDL is 100? No. If it was 120, would I recommend doing anything? No. It's just something that we're looking at. You're healthy. You've got a good blood pressure. Your diet's okay. Yeah, sure, your cholesterol is 120. What did he do, right? If we check it in 3 months, is it still going to be 120? Probably not.
Right.
I think people also forget too that cholesterol is a steroid. Right? It's the same base chemical structure as testosterone, as estrogen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you do eat, like they tell you about, like eating a lot of eggs and stuff like that, I mean, does that affect? I mean, obviously that affects that, right? Or no?
Diet does, but the majority of our cholesterol is made in the body. It's not through diet. So that's where most of it is. And our brain is one of the number one consumers of cholesterol. We actually make cholesterol in our brain too, separate, like it's made in the liver, but then the brain makes its own as well.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. You were on the growth hormone secretagogue. So we did check an IGF-1 level, insulin growth factor 1. Why did I check that? IGF-1 is the downstream hormone for me to be able to check growth hormone. Growth hormones release in your body. Okay. It's really hard to check growth hormone. Why? You'd have to do a growth hormone tolerance test or growth hormone releasing test. They actually use Sermorelin for that.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah, but you have to draw like growth hormone like at base, and then you have to draw it like every hour. To see it kind of go up. And actually, I may even think it's even less than every hour. And I only know this because I did it very briefly at PACU when we were doing like kids. We did some growth hormone tests to kind of see, and they would try to stimulate the pituitary with Sermorelin, and try to get and see like what would happen with the growth hormone release from the pituitary.
Yeah.
And you have to draw blood on like really tight intervals to catch it.
Watch it.
Because growth hormone has a really short half-life. It's not very
Right.
long. Okay. It's like 30 minutes or so. So like you kind of have to get it when you get it. So if we were to just check growth hormone on there, well, if you took your shot in the evening, like when we have most people take their growth hormone releasing hormone, you're not going to have like a huge spike of growth hormone like when you go in for your labs at like 9 a.m. essentially.
Right, exactly.
you'll have some, right? But are we catching it? When are we catching it? When is it happening? Because it's such a short half-life. So in order to kind of eliminate that, we check IGF-1. So I know you're having more robust growth hormone pulses because your IGF-1 level increases.
Right.
Now, testosterone, if you have a guy that's hypogonadal, so I'm going to back it up a step here because I think our listeners will find this valuable. If you have a guy that's hypogonadal, we also know that his estrogen is low too, right? We make estrogen from testosterone. Growth hormone is estrogen mediated, meaning in order to release, we have to have adequate estradiol in the brain in order to cause GH release. So when we talk about, like, for example, enclomiphene, and we're like, oh, the IGF-1's decreased.
Right.
Why do you think it decreased? It's because we blocked estrogen at the brain and it doesn't signal for GH to be released. If GH isn't released, do we get elevations in IGF-1?
Right.
We do not,
Right.
right? It decreases because now we're blocking the parent mechanism, which is causing its release. This is why I don't like SERM for long-term therapy. Maybe fine for a short burst for fertility or a couple other very, very, very like post-cycle therapy for people coming off to get their brain back on.
Yeah.
But that's it. But like long-term therapy, it's a terrible idea because we're essentially bombarding our estrogen receptors with this compound, and we're not able to achieve jobs. And there's no other studies that exist that say that enclomiphene doesn't bind to any other alpha estrogen receptor. But it's highly speculated that it does. So,
right.
So it's one of those things, live and let live. I know there's a lot of places out there that tout enclomiphene, but also no published data on body composition. It was never formally FDA approved. Ripros Therapeutics or Pharmaceuticals that was going through the patent to get it done actually dropped it because the FDA kept coming back to them for more data and they just couldn't produce it. So it never, ever, ever gained FDA approval.
Oh, really?
Nope. And clomiphene was never FDA approved.
No shit.
Clomid is.
So when they were going through it,
they
just never finished because they just kept coming up with more and more information.
FDA kept coming to them and being like, we want more data. And I don't know the questions that the FDA was asking them and what type of data.
So I guess that costs more money to do that.
I think it did, but you have to understand they were a publicly traded company at this time too. And investors were like, they had also been going at this for like over a decade, and people were like, they were getting frustrated, like investors, and they're like, listen, if we're not going to get a return on this, then we're out. And I think, Repros was probably asked some pretty legitimate questions from the FDA in terms of trying to determine this as like a long-term, lifelong therapy.
Sure.
For testosterone replacement. Because we knew what testosterone had already did. I mean, we're giving you the exact same hormone that's in your body.
Right.
What's the long-term effect of like all these things that happen? And I don't think that data was ever presented. I mean, you can read the phase 2 and phase 3 clinical trials that are out there, but that's all that exists. There's no other real, there's a couple other handful of studies on it that exist where, people have used it, off label to achieve results. Like we have that one that's on the IGF-1 where it's enclomiphene and then androgel. And then we measured the IGF-1, and that's where we saw that decrease in IGF-1 from people on enclomiphene. But because of that estradiol effect. Yes, androgel showed a decrease in the IGF-1 too, but you have to understand androgel is a inferior form of administration of testosterone. So had they put it up against like actually somebody on a decent protocol, let's say like my clinic or some of the other clinics.
And why don't they do that? Why don't they compare apples to apples when they?
Because androgel is owned by AbbVie.
Okay.
It's always sponsored by a big pharmaceutical company because if they can prove that it does something, then they can
that makes sense.
Get more sales, get insurance approval, yada yada yada. It's a big money game and all that stuff, which it's stupid.
Joke.
Yeah. So IGF-1 obviously increases with increased in circulating GH. So, and I want to preface too, when we're using a growth hormone releasing hormone, we're not going to put you at like incredibly high levels of IGF-1. We're going to get your levels back to maybe where they were at like in your 20s.
Sure.
Or 30s, right? Which was good. like we want that robustness, but we're not going to hit levels that like people are hitting that are on actual GH, like our HGH.
Right.
That's impossible. to compare those two because they're just two vastly different things.
Different. Yeah.
But recombinant growth hormone is illegal. It's, it's illegal for me to prescribe to somebody that doesn't actually have a diagnosis of growth hormone deficiency. So if I did that and I got reported, I could lose everything. So obviously I don't even mess with it because it's not.
Do you have
risk.
anyone that has that or no?
No, gosh,
Okay.
it's like, sure, as you age, you could say you have growth hormone deficiency, because you're just not going to secrete as much of it or as often as you used to.
Sure.
But is it true deficiency? I mean, these are going to be pediatric diagnoses, right?
Okay.
So, but recombinant growth hormones actually heavily regulated because of that. There's a backstory to it. I won't bore everybody. I don't know the whole backstory. I know like bits and pieces, so I don't want to say the wrong thing, but there's kind of an interesting history there if you ever get a chance to go dig that up. So, but your IGF-1 was 335. And for your age adjustment, our high range for you is going to be around 250, 260. You're at 335. So you are what I would call super therapeutic in your IGF-1 for a guy who's in his mid 40s, which is great. You now have like 20-year-old IGF-1. Okay?
Sweet.
And IGF-1 is going to provide us hypertrophy, right? It is anabolic in that aspect. So is it as anabolic as testosterone? Not even close.
Right.
But it does provide that extra like kick that we want. So that's why these growth hormone secretagogues are popular, right? We have sermorelin, we have tesamorelin, we have CJC, which is just basically modified sermorelin to have a little bit longer of a half-life. I'm talking about the no DAC variant. The DAC even takes that a step further. Yes, there's no published body composition data on CJC, but anecdotally, yeah. I mean, I've seen it. I've used it myself. It works, right?
Yeah. Yep.
It's it does that. It's basically modified sermorelin. So if we know sermorelin has good data, we can assume, since CJC is the same 1 to 29 aminos as sermorelin, that we're going to have very similar, if not better results because of having that extra half-life and getting that longer pulse to happen. So your IGF-1 was great. So those are like my labs that I would do follow-up. Now, when I'm doing like a routine follow-up, I'll pull up your labs on that. Let me pull them up here. All right. Yeah. So obviously we're going to have a hematology panel on that one. So hemoglobin, hematocrit, obviously we're going to be watching that on everybody all the time. This particular test, you came back a little bit high. This was back in May 1st is what this is dated. Your hemoglobin was 18.3 and your hematocrit was 54. And these are on the LabCorp scales. So I have an internal lab we use where my hematocrit can go up to 56%, but it's because my hematocrit at the lab that I use in my clinic versus like my telehealth, which was usually LabCorp for that. The hematocrit typically is triple hemoglobin, right? That's like the quick and dirty one. If you ever want to get like a pretty average hematocrit, just triple your hemoglobin. There you go. You can thank me later. But my lab does it based off the mean corpuscular volume. Okay, meaning the mean corpuscular volume is the size of your cell. Okay, like how big it is. It should roughly be like low 80s to high 90s. That's a normal cell size. If it's too big, if it's over 100, then the cell's too big. It can indicate certain things like vitamin B12 deficiency. We call that pernicious anemia. You see people with MCVs that are well over 100. Okay. Or if it's
Josh,
small,
hold on. I got a question right there.
Sure.
You just said something. I had a few people this week talk about, is B12 injections very popular with TRT clinics?
Yeah, a lot of places will sling out
because
B12.
I had about maybe 3 or 4 guys say that they got B12 injections.
Yeah, B12 is supposed to improve your. I'll tell you, a lot of clinics do it as sort of like we'll give you a free B12 shot, right? It's sort of like a kind of consolation prize for coming in the door. You know what I mean? We have it in my clinic, but like I don't give them to people. Just like if you sign up, because I mean, like whatever, it's B12. It's like you can take
But is that a common thing with the protocols that it is? Okay.
Well, you got to understand, a lot of clinics are doing that not because you really need it. They're doing it because they want to sell you something,
Mm,
right? Like I don't do it because you probably don't need it half the time, right?
yeah.
I may say, hey, your MCV is 106. Do you got numbness and tingling in your fingers? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, all right, well, maybe you have vitamin, B12 deficiency. And I'm like, I'll send you a link to supplements that I think are really good. You don't even have to buy them from me. You can buy them on Amazon if you want, but just know that the ones I'm sending you are pretty good. And they're the ones I use
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah.
And if you get them from there, you also support me a little bit. So, if you want to do that, great. If you don't, hey, no, sweat off my back either. Right.
Sure.
Um, so I go put them on a methylated B complex, right? And they come back and their next follow up, and now their MCV is 95. And I'm like, probably was a B12, right? I didn't go
Yeah.
check into B12 level, and doing all this stuff. I could, but realistically speaking, the chance of this person having a super low B12 is kind of rare, where I'm going to basically be darting them with B12 shots in the clinic,
Yeah.
or saying, hey, you should probably go on B12. I mean, there's a time and there's a place for that. If I were to do that, maybe I would investigate like some more causes, but very seldom is that necessary. It's just another sales tactic
Okay. I
that,
just
that
went because
clinics
when you
do.
said B12, it made me like, because I had a few guys this week, probably three or four, that
Yeah.
all said that their clinic,
Like a lot of the weight loss clinics do like a lipo B shot or something like that, and it's supposed to be like it's like a inositol and a couple other these like amino acids that are supposed to help with fat loss, and they can,
hmm,
but like they kind of use it as like a come on in, and if you sign up, we'll give you a free every time you come in for your blood work, we're gonna give you a free lipo B shot, and people
I
like
gotcha.
that, they like coming in and being like I got something, for just
Yeah.
showing up, you
Sure.
know and so that's why I think some other places do it. They may say, hey, if you like it so much and you're feeling good on it, you
Right.
can
And
buy it
can,
from us and we'll
it
order it for you, and here's what it costs.
makes
um,
sense.
so that's what it is. I do
Okay.
test injections with guys in my clinic, with L-arginine and L-citrulline. So it's a great way for them to learn how to inject but not really be putting anything in that's going to cause anything too wonky.
Yeah.
We're just going to increase nitric oxide for a little bit.
And
They're
that's
not
it.
really going to notice anything. It's more the
Nice.
technique, more the training, so they learn. Um, but yeah, so MCV, size of the cell too small, could be iron deficiency, a couple other anemias in there, thalassemia, I believes in that. I am not an anemia master by any means, but I know what they are, and I
Hmm.
know where to go if something's not right. But they're not something that I come from urology, not hematology, so I know enough to be dangerous, but that's about it.
Right.
So platelet count's another thing. So there's all these other things like MCH, MCHC, RDW. Those aren't really things that we're going to focus on. We don't even need to talk about them because I don't even go over them in the clinic.
Sure.
Irrelevant. I do focus on the platelets though, and this is a big thing. When I'm looking at blood work, and I know we get a lot of guys, should I donate? Should I not donate? This, that,
Hmm.
and the other. I know we've talked extensively about blood donations and that we lose ferritin. If we donate, testosterone is going to, when you go on TRT, it's going to eat up some of that ferritin anyway. It's going to take your levels and drop it because that ferritin is going to be creating new blood cells essentially. So it's going to drop that ferritin level a little bit because of that. And what we have happen here is, like for you, you came back at 18.3 and 54. You didn't donate. We were okay with that, right?
Hmm.
Um, you felt fine. And here's the other thing: there's no published literature that exists that shows that increased hemoglobin and hematocrit from secondary erythrocytosis from testosterone administration directly increases your risk for heart attack, stroke, blood clot.
Right.
There's other
Which
studies
is
out
what they
there.
say, what everyone
Right.
says.
There's other studies out there that show that it can, but not necessarily in the sense of testosterone replacement. And then we're talking about things like polycythemia vera. You have to understand with PCV, it's not just your hemoglobin or your hematocrit, it's your platelet count that's going to go up. And what do platelets do? They stick together,
Right.
okay,
Right.
and they cause clots, right? When you cut
Mm.
yourself, and you see all that, like, how like you cut yourself and you wipe it off, and like you look back a little bit later and it's got like that like yellowish stuff on the
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah.
That's platelets. That's what platelets is. They're all coming out of the serum in your blood, and they're holding out there, and they're working with a couple other clotting factors to form a clot, but they have stuck there to get the process started.
Right.
Okay. So if I have somebody, and I have a few people in my clinic with not PCV, but a couple other things that have really high platelet counts, you know, over 500,000, which is high. Okay. 450,000 is kind of our cutoff there. Most of my people are like 250, around
Oh,
250,000.
okay.
That's a pretty normal number. You're at 219,000. Okay.
Sure.
So, you know, those are very normal numbers. But if I got somebody with really high platelets, right, and now his H&H gets up, I get a little concerned,
Yeah. That
right?
makes
Because
sense.
now I'm adding in,
Yeah.
you
Right.
know,
Right.
another factor, not just red blood cells, just going to carry oxygen around in your body, not just that, but now we're adding in another layer, right?
Sure.
And so polycythemia vera is that it's that extra platelet, it's that extra clotting factor, it's the extra red blood. So we've increased it all around the board.
Hmm.
Okay. And I'm not saying that H&H management, you know, that we should never have blood donations, but I think there's definitely there's a time, there's a place, there's a threshold. There's things we can do to decrease. Obviously, we assess everybody for reasons why it would be high before we even start,
Yeah.
so we can get those things taken care of. Sleep apnea, guys, get checked. You know, if you're kind of on the cusp before you get started, because your hemoglobin and hematocrit is going to go up on average 10% ish from your starting value,
Right.
depending on your protocol. So CBC, very important. That comes every follow-up, mandatory.
Hmm.
The crazy thing is, I know there's clinics that don't even do that.
Oh, really?
Nope. I've actually had several people transfer in and they're like, can I use my blood work? And I'm like, yeah, let's see what they have. No CBC.
Jeez,
You
man.
know what they do have? Estrogen.
Of course. I was going to
But
say,
no
you know what?
CBC. I'm like,
I know that's
what?
the one thing you skipped on the last thing that we were
Oh, I
talking
did.
about.
I did. We'll cycle back to
Because
that.
yeah, I
So,
didn't know if you wanted me to start an aromatase inhibitor or not. So
well, since we're done with the CBC, let's go right to estradiol.
hmm
And estradiol, let me pull that up. I know your level was 60, but I don't
sixty
even
point
check it.
five.
But I don't ever check it, and I
Well,
don't
we
remember what I.
specifically checked it for this. Remember,
I
we said
know.
we want to
You want to
check.
know something? I just checked mine as well, because I'm going to be using it for content, not because I actually give a crap what it is, because I don't.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm curious because I hope it's like 70, so I can just
Right.
be like, you know,
Yeah.
my estradiol is 70. So here's a 60 and a half.
hmm
Now, according to the lab we use, or this is according to LabCorp, take it back, which is going to be for a lot of guys, 42.6 is high estradiol.
Yes.
If you go to another clinic and they're going to be like, do you have symptoms of high estradiol, which are XYZ, which are complete bullshit, because no guy on TRT for like 6 months plus is going to have any symptoms of this
Right.
whatsoever. I think
Right.
that's what people forget. When you first start, sure, you're going to be on the roller coaster, man. You're going to have ups, you're going to have
Yeah.
downs, and things got
Yep.
to, you know, weasel themselves out over time. So, can you have some breast sensitivity? Sure, especially if you're overweight. That's very common.
hmm
It doesn't mean it's going to last. It doesn't mean you're going to grow man boobs. It doesn't mean that any of that's going to be. It's a temporary thing, you know. You got on testosterone to be more a man, so start being more of a fucking man
Right.
and quit
Well, the
bitching about
gyno,
stuff.
everyone talks about gyno. That's, it's just
Yeah,
what
I have
they've been told.
hundreds of guys in our clinic. I don't have one guy with gyno from us starting them on TRT. It
Right.
just isn't a thing. You
Yeah.
can read. There's a paper on gyno too. You can search it up. It does mention that high testosterone can cause gyno. I've never seen it from high testosterone. I have seen it from low testosterone, where it's not high enough to have an actual threshold effect on the four hormones that do cause it, which
hmm
is in this case estradiol, IGF-1, prolactin, progesterone. And it's not the estradiol's problem in that. They often manage that, but what really is the issue is usually in those individuals, they're extremely obese. Okay.
Mm.
Fat obviously aromatizes testosterone, estrogen. That's not the problem. People need to stop focusing on that. They're fat. They're going to get this. They're going to get that. If I gave a dude that's overweight testosterone, he's not going to get man boobs from it, because yes, his estradiol is going to go up because he's disproportionately fat and has a lot of adipose tissue. But now his testosterone is like 800, where before it was like 100,
Yeah.
125.
Right. Exactly.
Right? Like we have now hit the threshold where that action cannot happen anymore. We have exceeded it, right?
hmm
So we'll stop it in its tracks. Now, Is he going to make more estrogen? Sure. But like, we only have a finite amount of estrogen receptors in the tissues that even need estrogen to begin with.
Right.
So if I'm measuring I'm measuring a serum value of a hormone that's not supposed to be systemic, is it really providing me any value? And the answer to that is no. So why do we even check it?
Yeah, exactly.
I think this is going to be the argument like ages old time, and I think
Oh,
people
yeah.
will die on that hill. So it's probably not worth having. But if you're at a clinic and they're checking estradiol, you're probably at a clinic that doesn't really know what the hell they're doing. I hate to say that, but it's irrelevant. It really is irrelevant.
Right.
You don't need an AI. You don't even need to check estradiol. Pointless.
Yep.
The only time I may check it on somebody, the only time, is if like we go and they're on TRT and they're like 9 months in and they're like, I'm really still struggling with my libido. We've tried a couple other things. I may check it just to see if it's even adequate. Not because I'm going to treat it, just to see if they have any.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the only time I would really
sense.
even potentially look at it is because of that reason.
Yeah.
And I have not had to do that yet. I'm just saying that would be a scenario that I would.
So you're not recommending that I start taking an aromatase inhibitor?
Not unless you want to turn into a postmenopausal woman.
All right.
I mean, if you want to do that, be my guest. But
I was just checking.
I mean, if you want to lose your erections, get achy joints, and turn into a bitch, be my guest.
Yeah, no.
That's exactly what
happens.
I'm
going to hold off on that. I'm going to hold off.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, once they realize, what's going to happen, they hold off. Yeah. And it's, excuse me, I need to get a drink. And it's not just knocking your estrogen down a little bit. We're completely stopping your body from aromatizing testosterone to estrogen. So once those receptors that have that estrogen, and you don't manufacture a replacement, right? We use testosterone every day. It's going throughout our whole body. It's hitting all of our androgen receptors, right? It's converting to it's converting to estrogen. It's converting to DHT. It's performing multiple roles. It has to be systemic for that reason, right? Because we don't have ovaries like women do. So I can't just chuck out estrogen from the ovaries to go bind to all these estrogen receptors. We have to make it in the local tissue where it's needed, bone, brain, testes, liver, you name it. Okay. It's made there, used there, not a hormone that I'm going to check the blood for because it's not made to go into the blood. So if I find it there, okay, we have a little bit more, but okay, sure. If I give you more testosterone, I'm going to potentially expect to see more there.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the liver, bone, brain, testes. It's throwing, all of those sites are going to dump their excess estrogen back into the bloodstream. That's where they go. That's why we see this higher level once you go on testosterone, but it's meaningless after, I'd say, well, it's meaningless, period. But I mean, people that experience symptoms is generally within the first 6 months.
Yeah.
And that's just because you're on that hormone roller coaster.
Yeah.
You're now adjusting to having, if you were hypogonadal and now you have estrogen at all of these sites in your body, it's got to take time to adjust.
Yeah, exactly.
So just let it adjust, trust the process, move forward. And get the most out of it. So, so that's estradiol. Not anything we need to be concerned with. Next set of labs. Sorry, I had to close that out. We have H&H. We have a PSA. Okay. Prostate specific antigen. If there's anybody that knows anything about prostate cancer, it's me.
Yeah.
So, I dealt a lot with prostate cancer, a lot. I'm kind of getting left in the dust though, because I haven't been practicing in that arena for quite some time. And it was a pretty evolving space when I was there. So I don't know what the new therapies are on the market, but when I left, we were dealing with some anti-androgens that were newer, I guess I should say, and protocols and how they were used. But PSA is a soft marker or screening test for prostate cancer.
Right.
I did my thesis for my master's degree on the PSA. So that was, and it was done on, it's a long story. We could actually have a whole podcast based on that. So I'm not going to bore everybody, but a lot of guys for about a decade weren't being screened because of, I think we've talked about it, the United States Preventive Service Task
Yes.
Force said,
Yep.
don't get screened. So then we started seeing all these guys with cancer because it wasn't being done.
Right.
Yes, prostate cancer or testosterone does not cause prostate cancer. That has been long disproven. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
But from a medical legal aspect, it's still something that I check. And it's more to save my butt than more me being concerned that somebody's going to get prostate cancer.
Yeah.
You know, and that's because greater medicine hasn't caught on to some of these things yet.
Yeah.
And you know how litigious medicine
Yep.
is.
Yeah.
So it's there.
Well, I
as
mean,
a
you know
sort of
what? You're
saying,
getting
like,
your blood work done anyway. Why not?
yeah,
No.
I just include it, you know, and,
Mm-hmm.
and when people are paying us to manage that, you know, all of our blood
Yeah.
work's included in our fees. So
That makes
it's not
sense.
like you got to worry about it. We'll just let us take care of it. It's more for me than it is for you. I did just have a guy recently. We checked his labs. His PSA came back, and he was new. His PSA came back elevated. It was almost 8. And I said, you know, we're not going to start testosterone yet because we need to figure out what this is.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be seeing a urologist, and I told him to cycle back. I was like, listen, cycle back when you get, you know, this information and let me know. I'm like, if you have questions, bounce them off me. I'm like, yeah, sure. You pay for a consult, but I'll answer them for you. You know, I'm happy for that. I enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it gives peace of mind for guys. Cause again, I'm in this for the community, right? I want people to feel comfortable. I mean, the last thing that is you want to have some diagnosis like that thrown out at you. And it's just knock you down to the lowest level of low. And, you know, you're just kind of stunned. And what am I going to do? And there's so many questions. Am I going to die? Am I going to do this? I'm going to do that, you know? And it was challenging in those things, but you know, obviously we checked the PSA, so that's that. Prolactin, I do check prolactins on all of my follow-ups. I don't check them initially. I actually get a luteinizing hormone at the start, and that's so I can determine what type of hypogonadism somebody has, primary, secondary, tertiary. On our follow-up, we swap that for prolactin. So you don't need to check axis hormones. After you start somebody on testosterone, they're going to be 0. So also, side note, if your clinic's still checking your LH and FSH after you started testosterone, probably not a place that you need to be going to, because I don't think they understand what they're doing. Because they're going to be 0. Why would you keep doing a test where it's going to be 0 every time you check it?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, it's kind of stupid. But so your prolactin was 17.2. Realistically, anything like low 20s and below is fine. Okay.
Good.
Some guys, I have an interesting patient coming up. He just got blood work done today from the plain community. Main complaint was I can get an erection, but I can't ejaculate. So what am I looking for in this individual? What was the first thing that came to my mind?
Would it be high prolactin?
Pituitary adenoma was number 1. Prolactin secreting pituitary adenoma was my number 1 thing. Because that's often what you see in these young men. I've seen it in that community before. The last one I saw had a prolactin of 400.
400?
Yep. 400.
Holy shit, 400.
Yep. And had a 16 millimeter pituitary adenoma. So it was squishing the pituitary.
Oh my God.
And it was prolactin secreting. So it was causing a lot of prolactin release. And the more prolactin actually the release actually causes you to be hypogonadal too. So low T, challenging erections. This is a classic case. You know, I can get an erection, but I can't finish because the penile sensitivity is just toast.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why I check a prolactin. Testosterone can increase that. Estradiol level can actually increase prolactin as well. Again, that's going to be on a tissue basis. I generally don't have people coming back with really high prolactins. I would say 98% of my clinic under 20, no issues.
Yeah.
Okay. Got a few people. I do have a guy with a pituitary adenoma. We're medically managing that. It's on testosterone. Everything's hunky dory now in that aspect. So, albumin, which we talked about already. And then we have, you know, the meat and potatoes of everything, total T, SHBG, free T. So, obviously we've talked about that, you know, through the gills. I don't think people need to know too much about that. Or
no, we'll do, we have blood work coming up again. I think it's the beginning of August.
Okay.
So when those results come in, we'll check them out and we'll compare them to these ones.
Yeah, we can. And I also just got mine too. I actually just had drawn my blood today. So I'll throw mine into the ring as well. You know, I don't have anything to hide. I did check my thyroid as well, just to kind of see.
Yeah.
So we'll have that on the docket because we do manage thyroid as well. Um, I want to in the future. I have a really good candidate to come on here and talk about the thyroid. Very smart gentleman. I know it kind of gets kind of tossed around in there. It's good for metabolic health to kind of consider the thyroid. And I really think this person coming on here, and I won't spoil it yet because I think our listeners will really enjoy it. It'll be a really, really, really good education. This particular person is very educated on this aspect.
Okay,
To
good.
talk about thyroid. Also, obviously does TRT and stuff, but very thyroid knowledgeable. And I think that'll be a really good episode. Very,
Good.
very good episode. So
Okay.
we'll try to get him
Perfect.
on here in the next couple weeks.
Yeah. That sounds good.
So
So nothing jumped out to you in the blood work, either one
no, I
that
mean,
we
like I
need to
said, your
work
H and
on?
H is a little high, but it's not something we have to kind of
Okay.
ameliorate at this point in time. It's just something we're going to keep our eye on, right? You know, obviously you stay hydrated.
Yep.
You also work a job that is physically demanding,
Yeah,
right? And you sweat a lot.
I
So
do.
sometimes too, if we have somebody that's going to get blood work and they've been working, sweating a lot for the past couple of days, and you know, are they hydrated, you know, to the
Hmm.
level that they should be? Maybe not, right? You know, these are things that we kind of have to take into consideration too. So hydration does matter because of
Yeah.
concentration gradients, um, you know, and determining getting an accurate test for that essentially. So, you know, we always
Yeah.
tell guys to make sure they're hydrated before they go in for their blood test, just so
Yeah.
we're getting the most accurate
Accurate.
information.
Sure. That makes sense.
Yeah,
All right. Well, I have one more question that everyone wants to know.
sure.
So you performed a P shot,
Yes,
correct?
I did.
Okay. And what happened?
So it was funny because I know I like text you immediately after that. It went extremely well.
Good.
For those people wondering, I've injected things down there hundreds of times. I just never did the P shot before, but it went very smooth. I mean, it was like riding a bike. I was back in my element. It went really well.
Good.
I know you posted that video. There was a lot of comments saying that it's not permanent, and they're right. It isn't
Hmm.
permanent. Okay, but it's not designed to be, right? There's reasons to have it done. The majority of those reasons are going to be erectile dysfunction to have it done, and these are going to be guys that have erectile dysfunction that are recalcitrant to like any other therapy. They
Right.
should still be on testosterone. Okay, they have to, that, you know, getting that fix is still paramount. That's always step one. So making sure testosterone's on board, always the first step. Then, you know, we can try phosphodiesterase inhibitors, or maybe they've tried them already and they don't work. You can
Hmm.
reintroduce them once we get testosterone on board. But a lot of guys don't respond to phosphodiesterase inhibitors. So we may have to start looking for other options. Ergo, P shot, acoustic wave, which I'll be adding later this year too,
Okay.
um, which is like the Gaines wave, the shockwave therapy.
Yeah.
That's good for like Peyronie's, calcifications, guys with vascular disease. You can buzz it and do the P shot after their 6 sessions. Um, it's not designed to be permanent. So they're all right in that. They're like, it doesn't last. It lasts up to 12 to 18 months, you know, in terms of girth improvement, depending on A, how many shots we get, and two, B, the big player, how well somebody uses their pump.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Because that's part of it. And what that's going to do is that's going to pull blood in. It's going to circulate that plasma. We do it. We do it for right after we're done. We do it. That's part of it. It's part of that protocol. Okay. But then they have to go home and do it twice a day for 8 weeks.
Hmm.
Okay. So their success on having that, you know, those results and maintaining those results is entirely how much they're going to follow, you know, the
Hmm.
protocols into doing that to achieve those results.
And do they have to use it more than 8 weeks? Like after the 8 weeks, do they do it like
So
once a day
so
or?
it so for example, most guys that are coming in for ED,
Hmm.
I'm going to recommend 2 and/or 3 shots to be done 8 to 12 weeks apart for a
Oh,
series of 2 or 3. Okay. Very seldom am I going to get one guy that comes in for just one. It's going to be more than likely two. We give a discount, like we kind of incentivize people to buy more than one,
yeah.
just because you're probably going to want more than one. And here's the thing, you can get them and then use them like a year later. Like I'm not going to be like, oh, you know, you only get 12 months use out of this, right? Like you're going to get what you pay for. It's just we may not need to use. So you could prepay to get the discount with it,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
rather than like maybe we
Yeah.
need to do one now, but we need to do
Then
one
come.
in 6 months. And then so like maybe you could just get one every 6 months. Like that's doable.
Yeah.
Um, So it depends on how often we're going to be doing shots in an individual, and then also, like the level of erectile dysfunction heading into it, and
Yeah.
how well we're improving. Because if you have a guy that has pretty good function, they don't have to pump as much. Like after 8 weeks, you can pump like 2, 3 times a week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it drops off dramatically, and you
Yeah.
and you can maintain that size throughout that too. Now, a year later, are you going to be as big as you were like the first couple of months? No, because it does go down. But then you can have another shot. It's like laser hair removal, like all these
Yeah.
cosmetic procedures. Like, you can have hair removed with the laser, and it works great. But like you have to go back to have it done every year.
Yeah. Right.
It's not
Right.
permanent.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those things. So like if we're going to do it for enhancement,
Hmm.
then having it every year to kind of have some of that enhancement benefit is, or up to twice a year, you'll get those rewards. And I saw somebody saying that they're putting filler in down there, and that's a terrible idea.
Yeah. That
I mean, we've
sounds
seen
scary.
we've seen the people that have had filler injected into their face where it's migrated to different places. Like,
Ugh.
I don't think it's really smart to be injecting that down there. And so these people are probably doing things they shouldn't be doing, at least in my professional opinion. We're just going to stick to the au natural stuff, which is your own
Yeah.
plasma.
Right.
So
Well, that makes sense.
yeah,
No.
but yeah, it went really well. And
Good.
again, I just wanted to inform people if they were seeing that, where like,
Hmm.
it's not permanent. It's not supposed to be permanent, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be temporary, but you can keep those results assuming you adhere to it longer. But eventually, yes, we will need to repeat that
Okay.
shot.
Okay. Well,
Hopefully that
good.
clarifies for people.
Yeah. Good. So one under your belt and then probably many more.
I have one tomorrow.
Nice. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
So, and then I probably have one in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So
All right.
yeah, I'm excited. And actually I'll have two in 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. Good.
So
Perfect.
yep.
So it's working.
One of them may be yours. No,
Yeah. I got to get, yeah, my wife will kill me. I've asked
she
her
doesn't
like,
need to know.
no, just come in one day,
You just
drop
come
the
in and
hammer.
you're just like, wham.
Yeah. Oh God. She's just so against it. I said something to her. She's like, yeah, no, we're good. She's like, I don't know why you would even mess with it. I'm like, this is the difference between men and women. I was like, so she goes, I don't even know why you would mess with it. I go, if you bought like, what is the Hellcat? Doesn't the Hellcat come with like 1,000 horsepower off the
It's like
off?
700 or
It's
something
like,
like
yeah,
that. But
900. It's
something,
something
it's something
like,
obscene.
right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if I bought a Hellcat and I think I told her I had 1,000 horsepower, right? And I was like, and like it's the fastest, it's got the most amount of horsepower for just like a regular car without getting like a Bugatti or whatever.
Right. Right.
Um, I was like, what would you do anything to that? She was like, no, it's already got the thing. I said, see, that's the difference between me and you. Because I would take it to a shop and put a turbocharger on it.
Right.
She's like, why? I'm like, because I can. You understand?
She doesn't
Like,
know that they had the demon variant, which upped it
correct.
even more.
Yes. Like, because
You
if I
know.
have 1,000, but if I could get 1,300 or 1,500, that's more than 1,000.
Right.
She's like, well, why wouldn't you need 1,000 or more than 1,000? I'm like, because I can, and because it would be more.
Yep.
You understand? She's like, that's stupid. I'm like, no, you're stupid.
You're having like the 5-year-old arguments. You're stupid. No, you're
She's like, you're
stupid.
stupid. I'm like, you're stupider. So, yeah. So we have the same conversation like that
I
about
love it.
that.
That's good.
So,
I mean, I think
whatever. Love and
it's kind
marriage,
of healthy,
21 years. So,
impressive,
yeah, making it work. So we'll keep it going. So,
impressive.
but we'll see. But
Cool.
all right, Josh. Well, so far so good with blood work and everything else. Next week maybe we'll talk about your blood work.
Yeah.
Check it all, make sure everything's good, and then I think it's like the end of this month or beginning of August. I get my blood work again, and then when that's done, we'll compare the two and
Okay.
see
I
what's
know there's
going
some other
on.
topics that we kind of wanted to talk about too, and we can, feel read the
Yeah,
room as to like what's kind of
I'm
popular
dying
around
to
that
see
time.
what the blood work's going to look like this time because
Hmm.
I was like 205 3 months
Hmm.
ago, and I'm like 187 now.
Wow.
Yeah,
I really want to talk about body composition in the
yeah,
future too. So
yeah.
maybe if we do mine next week, we could do mine and then also
Right.
some body composition, because I did just get my in-body 580.
Yeah,
Um, I got a whole whopping one scan out of it before the Wi-Fi stopped working on it, and
yeah.
now I don't know if they're working on it. I had to call. I was on like their
Sure.
tech support today, and we tried all these things and nothing worked. But it just won't connect to Wi-Fi. So I think the board's bad. So we're gonna have to replace that for me. So I'll hear back from them tomorrow. But um,
Good.
I did get my scan in, and I don't want to like throw it out there yet because it'll be good for people to listen. And these are things that we've really put a focus on for like long term,
Yeah.
short term and long term, but
Sure.
more like long term. And I want to show people what's possible
Mm-hmm.
if they actually put this to work. And I think they'll really find those metrics very valuable because
Yeah.
it's actually quite impressive.
Yeah.
And I impressed myself, which I
No,
was
I
like,
mean,
holy crap.
yeah, I know the number because you told me, and it's,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's impressive.
Yeah. I was like,
I
damn,
mean, it's true though. I mean, but it, you have to put the work in.
you
And if
do.
you can actually prove it to people that it works, I mean,
Yeah. And
it's not
and the
easy.
crazy thing is, and we'll talk more about this next week, is I didn't go on some crazy diet. I
Yeah.
didn't do anything. I mean, I watch what I eat for like, but I had pizza this past weekend for two
Yeah.
days in a row.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had hot dogs and hamburgers. Like,
Yep.
I don't sacrifice. I had cake, like I don't sacrifice living
Right.
because, this, that, and the other. I just, yeah, I don't eat it every day, and
Yeah.
I still supplement my protein. I'm still drinking protein shakes on a daily
Yep.
basis because it's really hard to hit those protein goals without it. Um, so I'm still doing that, but I'm still living. I'm still
Yeah.
eating normal things. I'm just not doing them every day.
So before we went to Ocean City, Maryland for vacation, I weighed 192 pounds, right?
Okay.
And I went there and I said, look, obviously I'm only going to do like push-ups and stuff. So I did push-ups every day and shit like that because the gym wasn't working there and all this stuff, right? But I said, that's it. But I'm just going to like, eat whatever, French fries, boardwalk fries, all this shit, pizza.
Yeah.
We're just going to live it up. But I told my wife, I said, but in the mornings I'll get up before everyone, like, cause I always do. I'm going to walk the beach, on the sand, 3 miles up, 3 miles back
Nice.
every day. And then I ate like a pig. Like we had
Yeah.
ice cream, we had funnel cake, we had all this shit. I come back, get on the scale, 188.
So you lost weight.
Yeah, I lost like
Eating
3 pounds. Yeah, eating junk, but 6 miles a morning on the beach. Like I
Yeah.
didn't do it on the boardwalk, I did it on the sand.
Right. So you have to
So
work a little bit
calves
more,
were
use a little bit of
burning,
those
dude. It's like,
accessory muscles. Yep.
yeah, like if you do it not down near the water, like at the top,
Oh,
like,
where
you know what I
it's
mean? Took my
where you
flip
don't
flops
got the,
off,
it's not solid. It's a
walking,
loose.
dude, your calves are burning.
Yep.
And then the rest of the day, I just ate whatever. But yeah, I mean, you got to put the work in,
You do got to put the
So
work in, and so I think next week we could definitely do that. I think people will find that to be very valuable. And I think going down the road now that I have this scanner at my clinic, we can do some follow up ones, and I can
yeah.
pull data. That's the nice thing. The software that comes with it, I can actually see how my clinic is functioning like as a whole, and
Oh,
we can
okay.
start to do some trends. So there'll be some interesting things that
Yeah.
we'll be able to talk about in the future. I think people will really find enlightening on this aspect. So,
Right.
so there's that. And then the other thing too is I know a lot of our listeners here come from social media, and they may see me being absent from social media. Full disclosure, I hate doing
Yeah.
videos.
I don't
I can
blame
do
you.
this. This is fine,
Yeah.
but I am not a video editor. I am not
Yep.
that. I will be having more content come out on my page. So please stay tuned. I'm actually working with a social media manager now because um, I just don't have the time to be putting
Hmm.
into this stuff. I really need somebody else to do it for me so I can focus on what really matters, and that's the clients in our clinic, and then obviously everything else. So,
Yeah.
but I just want to let people know that I don't post often. I'm not still going to post like maybe like 2 videos a week, but
Hmm.
it's going to be very consistent, and we're going to cover some topics, and we're going to have some engagement in that aspect. So people can look out, and hopefully they look to us for good content, the correct content, the right content, the
Yeah.
good information. We're not going to lead people down paths we won't walk ourselves. So
Yep.
hopefully they find that to be adequate.
Yeah.
And always open for criticisms, good, bad, throw it at me.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be.
Well, the
So
TRT data account will still be pumping out penis memes on pretty daily.
you got to make some memes out of those 2 I sent you today,
Yeah,
because they're
there's going to be
pretty
some
good.
more coming.
Oh man, they're
Yeah,
so good. I
I
saw.
had some
I
more.
knew it was
I
like,
was on the beach for like hours, And like I do the water for a little, and then like we kind of like zone out a little bit. So when the zoning out was happening, I was on cap cut.
Oh,
I would say. So
nice.
I got a whole bunch of drafts that are going to be
I
coming.
can't wait. I
Yep.
can't wait. They're
So
going to be good. The
yep.
pump one was awesome. I love that one.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Got the sick
So
ass pump going on right now. And I'm like, that's totally me at the gym, like snapping a picture of my
that's what I
wife and
do
be
to
like,
my
look
wife all the
here.
time.
She's like,
Dude, so just this one last thing. Every time when I work out, especially recently, it's like really sweaty. So I come in, I take my shirt off, and every time I do it now, when my wife turns around, and then as she turns back around, I throw the shirt right at her face.
ah,
And
she's
she's
probably
like,
like, you
God
asshole.
damn it. And I'm just like, oh, I love you too. She's like, it's fucking disgusting. I was like, no, it's like, I'm like, smell it. It's supposed to, aren't it like your pheromones
How's
supposed
my
to like,
pheromones?
yeah, it's like fucking stinks.
My
So,
man musk.
yeah, that's my man Musk. So, but yeah, so, all right. Well, more from everyone. More content's going to be coming out from everyone
Cool.
and lots more information on the podcast. So,
Yep.
sounds good. Until oh geez, what's happening now? I hear my kids screaming. Dude, this they started this reading stuff. I
Yeah.
hear my son screaming at my wife that he doesn't want to read. Like, why would they send something like this in the middle? Like, we never had this
I know.
stuff.
No, we
Like
didn't.
read summer reading.
Right.
This is going to be nuts. I got to get it. He's going to be going into third grade. He doesn't want to do this. He was playing Fortnite. So now he's got to
Well,
put
of
down
course,
Fortnite.
you took away something he wanted
He's
to do
got
for
to
something he doesn't want to
read.
do.
Dude,
So,
that's terrible.
yeah.
I should go down and remind him that I beat him 6 out of 7 races in the go-karts.
There you go.
That'll make him feel better. So, all right, Josh, I will talk to you later, bud.
All right, brother. Have a good
See
evening.
ya.